let me show you just the most delicious classic VW Beetle I've seen in very many years. So I'm helping my client sell it. It's got a great, interesting story. You're going to get a warts and all look around it. Meet Richard, my friend and colleague, who's a classic car expert. So he'll give it a proper, good, thorough review. We've just spent about 1,600 quid on a gentle recommission, so it's on the road, MOT'd and driving well. Great story, great car. What a great place to be. Let me know if you want to buy it, if you have any questions, or you want to get in touch with Richard. And if you are going to buy it, you're going to love it. And just to show you how great the brakes are, we've just spent quite a bit of money with Richard having them recommissioned. Here's Richard driving it into the workshop. Oops, and that positively wasn't even set up. Here we go. That was close, Richard.
Cool.
Okay, while Richard gets himself a cup of tea and calms down, let me give you a walk around the car, tell you about its history before we get it up on the ramp, and you can have a look at the underside, which I think is quite remarkable. So, it's a 2-owner driver car from new plus daughter. Let me explain. So, registered 1st of August 1971, first owner in Barnard Castle, where I live, and I've known the car for 25 years. Sold to its second owner in 2006, again in Barnard Castle. Second owner sadly died in 2016 when the car was inherited by his daughter. The car was then transported down to Whitstable, where she lives, and put into storage until about a week ago when we gave the car to Richard and he gently recommissioned it, got it running, put a fuel line on it, sorted the brakes out. Richard will tell you exactly what he's done in a minute when it goes on the ramp. So original colour, elm green, great colour. There's only a little bit of wear on the pedals, showing 90-odd thousand miles. I think, as Richard thinks too, that mileage is genuine. It's a 1300 engine, even at the back it says 1500. That's obviously been added at some point. Original trim. The car is absolutely unmolested as far as we can see. A little bit of rust here and there. It's got great potential for either a full restoration or just use it as it is. So let's have a chat with Richard. Richard, it's always good to see you.
Hi, David.
Really good to see you. Thanks for getting your teeth into the Beetle. Shall we have a wander around?
Yeah. Shall we start in this corner? Because we're standing here.
Yeah. Well, tell us first, what have you done to her?
Right. Probably 3 weeks ago, went down to have a look at the car with a view to just getting it started. And it needed a new fuel pump and fresh fuel in it, and a tinker with the electrics because the wiring at the distributor was a bit US. So got it started very quickly, a couple of hours, and then it was a matter of where to go with it next.
Can we just, while you're describing it, can we wander around so the viewer can get a look at the body of it as you're telling us what you've done?
You see
If you just keep wandering, that'd be brilliant.
Sure. So the question was what to do with the car, because I sort of expected it to be a bit of a wreck. It's been dry stored for years, but they obviously, all old cars end up suffering from rust. And the first thing I thought about this was it's not particularly rusty. You can see from the patina patina on the paintwork that it hasn't been polished. Nobody has done anything to this car.
I know you want to polish it. You've mentioned to me you're desperate to polish it.
Absolutely desperate to polish it.
I don't think we're going to do it. I know you want to polish it, Richard, but I think if a buyer now is looking at it, they will be able to tell that if they want to polish it or they want to paint it, they can do now what they want to do. But some people, including myself, funnily enough, quite like it the way it is. There's something charming about it.
Volkswagen owners specifically like as I say, a rat look. This is certainly not a rat look. This is very original.
Got
I
you.
mean, with regard to the paintwork, the only thing that I can say is that I think that a lot of it is original. I think, for example, the roof has not been painted.
No.
That's the gut feeling. You can see clearly that it has had some not repair work, paint work.
Yeah, I
done
think
on it.
that's a bit of a ropey job
But
there.
I think that a lot of this paintwork is original.
I do.
And
And it is the original colour.
Oh, it's original colour. I'll come to you. Oh, yeah. And again, I do not think that the interior has been molested in any way, shape, or form.
I think the interior is gorgeous, and I really do wish this was smell-o-vision, because what does that smell of? Doesn't it smell like an old Beetle?
It smells perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely smells perfect.
It does.
Good
Trim as well,
The
actually.
trim's excellent. There's no damage to it, but there's a little tiny bit of damage to the
Is there?
seat. Well, look, just
Which
down
one?
on the driver's seat.
Oh yeah.
Just
Okay.
where the edging strip is.
Okay, but it's all original.
Oh, look again. That is lovely. I mean, that is in great condition.
We've got a spare tyre there.
Yes, I'm not sure it's the right size.
Does it fit this car? Don't know.
Don't think so.
There's
But
some
it's- but
papers, there's some manuals, there's old logbooks there as well. There's original service history, in actual fact, from the very early days.
I have not looked at any of the paperwork.
Right.
I had a little sneaky peek when it came to us at its previous MOT history, and it goes back a few years. I was interested just in the mileage, because the mileage is something like 94,000. I could believe that.
Oh, you can?
I can actually believe
Right.
that. Without any knowledge prior to the electronic data on it. But it doesn't look like a car that's been round twice.
Got you.
So I don't think it's done 200,000 miles.
Interesting.
That would be my... And we know it's been off the road for a period of years.
I think 2016, and remember, this is a two-owner driver car,
Yeah.
which is quite remarkable.
It is remarkable, yeah.
And
yeah.
it's interesting, because here we are in Whitstable, but I know the car from Barnard Castle.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It's a very weird coincidence.
It really
Yeah,
is. So it was a one owner up until I think 2006, when another local chap in Barnard Castle bought it. So it spent its time driving around North Yorkshire and the County Durham Dales, and now it's come south, and coincidentally to the town where you are, and we know one another from filming Antiques Road Trip. It's brilliant, isn't it?
It is bonkers. You couldn't pick it up.
Let's have a look in the bonnet.
Yeah,
there.
under the bonnet. All the door shuts work. Everything opens and shuts as it should do. Everything's the right colour. Everything needs to be cleaned, but it is exactly as I saw it. 3 or 4 weeks ago, whatever it was. With nothing added, nothing taken away.
And I think this is how we like to see them. It's unmolested. It's just aged over 50 odd years. It's been well used and well loved. And it can be kept like this, Richard, can't it?
Yeah.
Or someone can take it to another level if they wanted to.
Yes, if they want to, but it's certainly good enough to. It's good enough to respray the bits if you wanted to. But I say that because there's not that much that I've come across that is really poor. I mean, there are odds and sods bodywork wise.
Where's the worst
Well,
bit?
this is probably the worst bit, bar none. You buy just a new one. Volkswagen parts, I couldn't give you a price, but I'm guessing 35, 40 quid for a step. They used to be really cheap. But there will be a requirement for these to be cut out if you wanted to. You don't have to. I think it's similar on the other side. I think fundamentally, I think that's about the worst part of the car on both sides. I think there's almost certainly the trim in there for that.
Yeah, there's quite a few spare parts in there.
Yeah. Things I like about it. Has it been sprayed before? Bits yes and bits no. I would say, just looking at this, I don't think this has been sprayed before, because someone's done a terrible job here trying to.
Yeah.
When you look at then the rubbers, if they have sprayed it, they've taken it off, sprayed it, and then put the wing back on, which is what they should do.
Absolutely. So it's been a good job. Now, apparently, just for viewers who may well be interested in buying the car, all the tools go with it.
Oh, okay.
Just out of interest.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It might be worth having a look at them some point, just only because I haven't looked at them.
No.
But
Yeah. Well, it's a good
if
toolbox.
it's a snap-on kit, I might buy the car.
All right. True. Okay. Now, tell us exactly what have you done?
Okay, right. Other than getting it running, we then managed to get it to an MOT station. Fundamentally, there was nothing seriously wrong with the car. So in that, my personal opinion is it hasn't been welded underneath. Again, it ties in with the mileage. The main issues were most everything electrical. Hooter didn't work, wipers didn't work, the lights didn't work. No, most everything electrical. Simple stuff, but tedious to find. One tyre wasn't salvageable. And the brakes.
Yeah,
And
there's quite a lot of work done on the brakes.
lots of work on the brakes. I wanted to try and do as little as possible, to just with regards to getting it through the MOT. And we started with the brakes, and we went half measures, and it's brakes. I want them to work, so it's ended up having all new wheel cylinders. Everything's being freed off, all the adjusters have been freed off and adjusted. They will undoubtedly need adjustment again at some point when they settle in, and it's had new shoes on the back. The front shoes were absolutely fine.
Brilliant.
But that fundamentally, if anything, most of the work went into 50-50 electrics and brakes.
Brilliant. You've driven it, I haven't.
Yeah.
How does she go?
On the way over from the MOT or MOT back, drove really beautifully. At the moment, I'm sure it's got something's been pulled through from the petrol tank. So one of the things we did, we changed to the E5 fuel line. So
right.
that's been done. I'm not suggesting using E5 fuel, but it's a necessary evil the way moving forward. But the fuel lines will take E10 now. VWs will run on it, but that's another issue altogether. I'm not a font of knowledge with Volkswagen. I know quite a lot about bodywork, but specific relating to this car, I'm not an expert.
But as a driver, how does she feel?
Drove really well.
Good.
Very well.
Can we have a look underneath?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you get her up on the ramp.
Yeah. Okay. This is.
Okay, can you talk us through it, Richard, what your thoughts are?
Right, just starting with the rear left-hand tyre. Incredibly new, because it's new.
Right. Yeah, well done.
That one, again, it's not new, but it's quite happy.
Okay.
Decent tread, no cracking on it. Similarly, this one is perfectly decent tread, no cracking, and this one is actually nearly new. So they're all good. Nice starting point. Because we're up here, nothing's been cleaned. Any sort of grass and what have you is just grass that's been on it for as long as it has to be.
Okay.
Yeah, everything looks pretty original.
Right, yeah.
You can see surface rust and all sorts of things, but you'd expect to see much more rust on this.
You would.
And right the way down the car, as you go down there in detail, you just see there's no damage to the floor structure.
No.
There's no damage to anything, because they do suffer badly from rust in the areas where the air channels go.
They do, and the floor pans are often replaced,
Indeed,
aren't
but
they?
they see no evidence of rust of changing anything.
So do you think this is the original floor pan?
I do.
Yeah, I do.
think absolutely. I don't think any welding's been done to this car
No.
at all underneath.
Have you done any welding for the MOT?
No,
Right.
nothing. And that was what I expected. I thought when I first saw it, I thought there would be 2 or 3 hours of welding by definition.
Right.
Because, you'd expect it. Oh, now there is a little rust issue,
Yeah.
and which you can find here. You'll see where it has blown out. It really does need new exhaust.
Oh gosh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it was okay for the MOT with that.
Yeah, it was okay for the MOT, and I think because it wasn't as bad as it is. I think that the exhaust does need to be attended to.
Okay, so it's on the road, it's ready to go, it's driving fine, needs a good service, a new exhaust or
yeah,
back section,
just
maybe.
checking what's happening, because it was perfect when I first drove it. It was perfect, even on old petrol, relatively old petrol. And we've, as I said, had to change all the fuel lines, and I think something's been pulled through. I think it's been pulled through into the car, so it needs to be cleaned out.
So is it a bit spluttery?
It's a bit spluttery. It's on 4, but it's a bit spluttery. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
That won't help, by the way.
No, it won't.
No, things it won't help at all.
Okay, wonderful. Richard, anything else any prospective buyers might need to know?
Well, it depends on what they want to do with it. As discussed, if it's going to be to use it and love it as it is, I think it's absolutely fabulous. I similarly think that everything can be improved dramatically. You can see over the years, obviously someone's painted this. It needs to be blasted or needle scaled and then repainted. I don't think that particularly affects its originality, because this isn't original insofar that it's been painted with silver paint.
That's perfectly normal. I mean, in the 70s and 80s, they were getting painted every year, weren't they?
100%. But with a sandblast, £30 a wheel or whatever it's costing now, respray it in silver. That will make a heck of a difference.
It will.
And whether someone decides to polish it, they should.
Okay, I know you're determined for it to be polished, but you reckon 3 hours of polishing will transform it?
I do, yeah, I absolutely do. Yeah, just because we're at the back end, the transaxle and the engine, no oil leaks at all, nothing, which again I just think is stunning. Also goes with the mileage of the car.
What have we done in here?
In here, the only thing we've done, literally the only thing, we haven't changed the oil. The oil's okay, but it will need to be changed before going back into service properly, is a new fuel pump. And as you can see, the fuel line's this E5 capable fuel line. Other than that, pretty much it's exactly as we picked it up.
Okay, but you recommend the next buyer services it, gives it a basic oil change.
It would be sacrilege not to.
Okay.
Because it's such a cheap fix to do a service on one of these.
But you can do that.
Yeah,
of course you can.
yeah,
Well, that's what you do. Okay. They can speak to you for a price.
No problem
Fine.
at all. I think they hold 3 litres of oil.
No.
You know, I think they've got a centrifugal filter. You know, so that doesn't get replaced. So just to do the oil change, but you may then come to thinking, well, let's do the plugs, because these plugs are not going to be spring chickens.
Okay.
So where I would be looking at this is saying have a quick look at the plugs, check the timing's all good, and then just a quick service on the air filter and stuff.
It's not going to be a fortune. I think anybody who's interested in buying the car will have an idea what a good old service on a Beetle costs. It's not a lot.
Yeah, I think it's worth having it done, because the point of this car now, it is perfectly drivable. Somebody can get in this and drive it to Newcastle, in my opinion. If it breaks down, I apologise in advance. But
it is a classic car.
It is a classic car. No, they're pretty damn reliable.
Yeah.
VWs, as you know. But for the longevity of the engine's nice. It doesn't smoke. It doesn't smoke on startup. It would be just a waste not to change the oil at least.
The buyer can speak to you if they want to buy it, have it serviced before they collect it.
No problem.
Fine. Okay. Right, to placate Richard, before we say goodbye, he is absolutely determined to show us what he thinks the car really, really needs. He's going to polish a couple of areas on the body to show us what she would look like after 3 or 4 hours of hard graft. Richard, over to you. We've done Antiques road trip together. You know all about cameras. Okay, you've convinced me to show the viewers how the car may well look after about 3 hours of hard graft polishing.
Yeah, probably 3 hours not using a rag. But
using a buffer. Okay, let's have
I don't want to do too much, because there's an argument as to whether to keep the patina. We'll just see by just a little bit of rubbing the paintwork, see what it changes it to. This is by no means done and dusted. You'll get
oh my goodness me, I think he's right actually. Richard, I think you might be right.
Why do you say that? I'm never right.
You were always right, you know you are. Wow, that actually makes... Look at that. So from the flatness to that luster, as we may say in the world of antiques.
Proper luster. Yeah.
Richard, as ever, you were right.
Thank you very much. I'll tell the wife.
Richard, you are insatiable.
With my polishing, yes, yes. Righty-ho,
Right, so now you've got a bit of some kit.
Yeah, a little tiny polisher. This is the little baby version, but it's useful for doing small stuff. A little bit of water to make sure you don't get the paintwork too hot. And what we're going to try it on is that whoops, that's a bit too much.
Are we going on the wing here?
I'll put it wherever you like. Do a little bit on the wing.
Well, okay, stop there. Let's have a look. So this is what we have right now. So the viewers can kind of picture that. Okay, Richard, go mad.
Okay. It does spray out, so just be mindful.
Okay.
Okay, down, just give it a quick final go over.
Oh my God, Richard.
A lot easier than doing it by hand.
I think I see exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
So let's just have a little focus on here. So we'll start at the bottom of the wing. Let me know what you think, viewers. Move up and then onto the polished Richard area, which is almost glass-like. And I can see you. Wave, Richard. And goodbye from the interior of, I think you'll agree, this rather special VW Beetle. Get in touch if you're interested.